people don't reach their goals. They have this push-pull tug-of-war with negative mind chatter that block their path to health, wealth, and happiness. Today, we're talking to Delores Garcia about her empowered mindset method that helps people rewrite their subconscious mind to accomplish their goals. For this and more, stay with us for what's going to be a very, very interesting conversation. Don't go away.
You have a story that is unique, a story that needs to be heard, a story that people care about. So it can get them to stand up for what they believe in. It can inspire them to change. It can inspire them to take action. It can inspire them to care. Care enough to be the light to someone's darkness. Care enough to extend a helping hand to someone who's down and out. Care enough to call things the way they are and see them for what they could be. Your story can make a difference. Your story can save a life. Your story matters. One story changed the entire world. Your story could do the same. All you've got to do is own your story.
And a very warm welcome. If you just joined us, you're watching Books with Bridgetti. I am your host, Bridgetti Limbanda from Cape Town in South Africa. So it'll be nice to know where in the world you are joining us from. Our live stream today is made possible by StreamYard and BeLive Media. So a very warm welcome to you, our audience. This is an audience-centric show. We are monitoring the comments, so please feel free to say hello. And if you've got a question for our special guest today, you are welcome to drop that in the comments as well. If you are brand new to these streams, if you've never watched them before, please type new in the comment and I will give you a shout out to say hello. So my special guest today is Delores Garcia. She is a retired nutrition professor and now coaches people to reprogram their minds for personal success. Why might that be necessary? Sometimes we have internal messaging that we're not even aware of. And so she helps people deal with that internal mind chatter. You know, that voice on your shoulder that often tells you, don't do it, you can't do it, you're useless, you can't do things. She helps you work through those messages, and she has what she calls an empowered mindset method to help rewire our subconscious mind that holds us back from reaching our goals. So with that, let me say a very warm welcome to Delores and invite her onto the show.
I didn't catch that.
Delores, a very, very warm welcome. I'm so happy that you're able to join me today for this conversation.
I am thrilled to be here. And, I was thinking about it. We were having a great time in the green room talking. And, I know that a lot of people comment on your accent. And I was thinking about it in reverse. Do I sound like I have an accent and you just talk normal? Like, what does it sound like in your head?
Strangely enough, you don't have a very American accent to me at all. Not at all. Maybe I speak to too many people in the US, but you don't have a very strong American accent.
Yeah.
I can understand you clearly, and you don't sound foreign to me at all.
I was just like, everybody has an accent. It's just the way we talk, but we kind of point out certain people's accent, I guess. Yeah. But it's great to be here.
Thank you so much. And so you are a retired nutrition professor.
Yes.
Do you actually, is there an off button, coming from a nutrition background? Or does that kind of, is it so ingrained into just who you are that you are always just conscious of nutrition?
Well, I am always conscious of nutrition because you know what? We eat food all the time. And when you're not eating food, you know you're going to eat food, or you want to eat food, or you're dreaming about it. You know what has even taken it to a higher level is the mindset work that I'm doing now. Is that, I was teaching apples and oranges back at the university, and that was great to help people understand a perspective of nutrition and the chemistry in our body, etc. However, what really rules our nutrition and our food behaviors is our mindset. And as you said in the introduction, me being a subconscious reprogrammer, that's where the programs are. And so my nutrition-based programs happen to be very healthy, that I don't fight against them. It's easy for me to eat intuitively and to eat well. And it's because of how I've been programmed. The people who struggle with their nutrition and their food-related behaviors, I can teach them all days, apples and oranges, but until we start reprogramming their deep mindset about it, they're always going to struggle. Does that make sense?
It absolutely makes sense. I've always been fascinated how sometimes when we shift into a whole new world, when we move on in life, whatever we did before that is never wasted. And somehow it makes us better at what we're currently doing, having that kind of background knowledge that we have. There's always ways in which we can incorporate the past with the present and make the present slightly better or enrich it.
Yes. And I always talk about connecting the dots. And my life has been a building process. It's stepping stones, whatever you want, whatever analogy that really suits you is that, but connecting the dots. I can look back and I can see why I really needed to study nutrition and to teach it. And fast forward this many years later, I go, oh yes, but your point is so well taken. I'm doing something not completely different, but I'm not teaching at the university and I'm not teaching nutrition. But yeah, it isn't wasted. The wisdom, the understanding, the perspective. Yes.
That is amazing. So although this is the first time you and I have actually met, and it's wonderful that we can do this. Every time I interview someone, I am just in awe about the ability that we have to have this kind of conversation. We're in lockdown in South Africa anyway still. And so to have the ability to not just talk to people in my immediate circle, I've got this ability to have conversations with people wherever the internet is available. And that can be just about anywhere, which is amazing. So apart from that, we have something in common, though we've never really met. We're both contributors to this brand new upcoming book by Linda Sunshine West called Invisible No More, Invincible Forevermore. It is a bit of a mouthful, and every time I look at the title, I resonate 100% with the title. But every time I think of the title, I have to look at the words in front of me because I get tongue-tied.
Yes. No, I agree with you. And she emphasizes the invincibility. And I always talk about the invisible book. And I go, oh, Delores, you need to stop doing that.
Oh my goodness, I think it's hilarious. But I totally resonate with the title, with all of it, which is why when she asked me, I said, yes, I definitely would like to contribute to this book, because, it's just amazing how many of us can relate to this topic. of feeling invisible, and being able to step out of your comfort zone, and step into a space where you can truly feel yourself and truly feel free and empowered, is just amazing.
I agree with you, and really to see that transformation. I mean, the word invisible is what pulled me in. I was like, well, we'll work on the invincibility part. We'll try to own that. But what pulled me in, and I was referred by someone else to get in contact with Linda Sunshine, that it was the invisible. I was the invisible girl, and that resonated so deeply with me. And then to write my story and realize that, yeah, I'm not invisible anymore.
That is amazing. So the title of your chapter is called Shroud of Shame. I don't want you to give away anything because I really do want people to read the book. But could you give us just a brief overview of your chapter, because I want people to be able to look forward to reading this book.
Yes. Well, thank you. It took some courage to write this. Even though it's my story and it's my truth, it is interesting how it does take courage. And so the shroud of shame that I wore for many years, like decades, was all based in what I felt like was a very hideous secret that my family and I kept. My father ended his life it was less than a month after I had turned 4. So I turned 4 in the middle of August, and then he shot himself like the beginning of September. So I was barely 4 years old. And, you know, I will say, and I absolutely acknowledge and honor my mom for entertaining any kind of questions that we kids had about my father or about his death or anything else. And she never denied me any information, but it just wasn't something that you talked about outside of the family. And I grew up in a very small town, very small town. People knew that my dad killed himself, but it was like an elephant in the room all the time. And here I was the protector of the secret. And it was awful. It was shameful. I was ashamed. And I mean, I didn't do anything. I was just a little girl, but I internalized that shame. And when you keep secrets and you're hiding things, yeah, it becomes, yeah.
It does. It becomes a burden that you carry, you know. I saw the preview video of your story, and I was, you know, I remember, I don't know how much you remember of the actual incident, but I remember a lot about my life when I was 4 years old. You know, it sounds very young, but there's a lot of distinct memories that I have from the age of 4 in particular.
Yes.
You know, I remember I got my first bicycle when I was 4 years old. I remember my grandmother dying when I was just barely 4 years old. And I remember those incidents very, very vividly. It's still very crystal clear in my mind. And I think it's amazing that one can remember from such an early age. But for you to have such a traumatic event at such a young age, and to be able, you know, having to carry that with you through your life. And I can imagine why it must have been hard for you to talk about, because children are cruel.
Yeah.
Children can be incredibly cruel at school.
Yes.
So I can imagine that could not have been very easy for you, having to live with that, you know, even though it wasn't your fault. None of it was your fault. But you almost feel as if it is.
Well, and you become the protector of the secret. and you don't talk about your business with other people. And I do remember that was kind of a prevailing mindset attitude that we had in our home, is that we keep our personal business to ourselves. We don't go talking about it. And yeah. No,
you hold it close to your chest. Now, you did something recently that sort of goes entirely against this whole thing of being invisible. And when I heard about it, I thought, wow, just wow. I am in so much awe of the fact that you were able to do this at a mature age, when people generally don't do this kind of thing. But I thought, lady, hats off to you for being able to do this. And I suppose I don't know, I'm going to ask you now, was it easy to do it because you have a nutrition background and you're able to take care of your body to accomplish what you have? So just tell us what you've done.
Well, okay, so what she's referring to is I did a physique competition, and that's just a really fancy word for a bikini contest. But it's, I mean, you can have different on the continuum of level of muscle, and so it's a bodybuilding contest. And I had wanted to do that for many years, but I was very insecure in my body, especially showing my body. And I never had any weight struggles. I ate well. I was a dedicated, I exercised for years and loved that. It was such a relief. I struggled with so much depression that exercise was a major therapy strategy for me. And there was no compelling me to do it. And then, things happen, and I was in a position that I got real serious about it. And with all due respect to the sport, I'm going to tell you straight out that it is not about healthfulness. Is that you manipulate your diet and your body and your training routine to an extreme, and that you actually have to recover from it after you compete. And so really my background in nutrition, and even as a personal trainer, kind of went out the window, because you do, especially right before the event, you get real extreme. And you kind of turn into a not very nice and not very healthy person. And like I said, you do have to recover from it. But it was, the word invisible has always been part of my identity. And I never really said it, but that's how I felt. And that's why when I found out about Linda Sunshine's book, I was like, well, I can tell you about being invisible. That's how I lived for so many years. And so to do this physique competition was truly it was kind of like a bucket list item. It was a big dream of mine. I always wanted to do it. And then I had a support system at my gym that actually brought that to pass. And no regrets at all.
That is absolutely amazing, Delores. But I was also thinking about it. It speaks to, I don't know if you agree with me, but there's something liberating, and you don't understand it until you get there. But there was something liberating about turning 50, that you kind of think, you know what, I am at the peak of my life, and I no longer care so much about what other people think.
Yeah. And
I'm now going to start doing things that I really, really want to do, things that make me happy, things that I enjoy. Because I think when you turn 50, you no longer feel like you need to prove anything to anyone, to the world. You really just start stepping into your own skin.
Yes.
And, I remember when I turned 50, it just felt like a complete change. I felt like I was stepping into my own, and I felt like I no longer had the need to explain myself to anyone. Or, I just wanted to do things that make me happy, that
Yes.
make me feel comfortable in my skin. And I no longer wanted to do stuff to please other people or just for the sake of pleasing other people.
Mm-hmm. And I would agree. And there was so much personal transformation, as I mentioned, that there were about 35 years that I lived under a black cloud, or in the black cloud of depression, just depending upon what day it was and how dark it was. And round about 50-ish is when things, I finally was in with a therapist who cracked the code of my depression. And finally, and I can say that she definitively healed it and allowed me to open up to the rest of my life. So I'm going to add this on there. When I turned 50, I said to myself, okay, I got 50 good years left, then we'll see. And that's kind of been my attitude is, I got 50 good years left. We'll see where we're at after that time. I started listening, just like you, I started listening to myself. And anytime I would say, I've always wanted to, blah, blah, blah. Well, guess what? That's what I'm going to do. My 50th birthday, I went skydiving. I always wanted to go skydiving. And so I did twice. And then to do this physique competition, but I agree with you. There's some kind of, I don't know, beautiful spiritual release that now we're old enough to do what we want to do. And we don't have
no
to
longer
be
have
obedient.
to ask permission from, you don't have to seek anyone's permission. In fact, you don't really care what other people think. You care less what other people think. And it's not that you wanting, it's not in a nasty way or in an ugly way. It's not to offend anyone. It's not that kind of I don't care. It's more that, I have reached this point in my life, and I now really would like to. All my life, I've tried to do things for my family, for my children, for my husband, for my mom, for my dad, for my friends. And I think you kind of arrive at 50 and you think, now I'd like to do something that makes me happy.
Yes. And that it is absolutely okay to do that. And anyone who is a student of heightened consciousness and, abundance mindset. We talk about working in the state of flow or in a flow state. And that's really what that is all about, is doing things that you really want to do, that you resonate with. And that's my happy place. Let's go ahead and do all of our work in flow, and we will do amazing, divinely inspired work. And in fact, that's how I wrote the story in the book, is through that divine.
It opens one's mindset to do more things, whereas you previously may have held back because of fear of what other people may think about what you're doing. So you've let go of that fear that you had previously, and you almost become a little bit more adventurous. I won't say I would do anything to put my life in danger. I want to live. I don't want to die. I've still got many years. I'm looking forward to my grandchildren. But I do open myself up to more opportunities.
Yes.
I couldn't, if someone told me a couple of years ago that I would be live streaming, that I would put myself out in the public domain, I would say, you got to be kidding me. Just no way, not a chance. But now that I've been doing it for a number of years, I love it. I love what I'm doing. I love the opportunity to have met people like you and many, many countless other people. It's been an amazing journey. And, to be able to take part in writing this book with Linda was just another step in a new sort of direction of feeling empowered.
Had you written and published anything prior to this? I mean, your wonderful show about books. Have you authored previous books? I apologize for my ignorance. I don't know.
I actually have not. I've been interviewing authors for 3 years now. I've been doing the Writers Corner live show with a co-host, Mary, who is a children's book author. And we started that show accidentally. We met each other under very strange circumstances. And we wanted to remain connected. And then we decided to do the show. And I kept saying to her, I'd love to I really enjoyed interviewing people and talking to authors, and I've learned a lot. But I became so preoccupied, so busy with what I'm doing. Live streaming takes a lot of time, a lot of work, a lot of preparation, and I really, really enjoy it. And I didn't have the time. I probably would like to write 3-4 books because I've got so much that I want to share, but I just don't have the time. And then when Linda approached me, I thought, you know what? I can do this one. I can make the time to write a chapter.
Yes. And also for our listeners, if you have wanted to write a book, and starting with a collaborative book, and especially when you have a publisher like Linda, egads, she just lays everything out for you. You simply just need to write your story and she takes care of everything.
It couldn't be easier.
It's amazing. And exactly what you said is writing a chapter instead of a whole entire book. And I actually have, I have one solo book drafted, and she's not quite ready yet. She needs a little bit more ripening time, shall we say. She's not quite ready to be published. And I'm in the middle of a second solo book, but I was reflecting how rich my life has been blessed with these collaborative books before my solo books. And I go, oh yes, connecting those dots, that's exactly the way it should happen. And again, when you get in with someone like Linda, boy, she just does everything.
Linda is amazing. Her first book, The Year of Fears, for anyone who hasn't looked it up, go and have a look at Linda's book called The Year of Fears. She also has quite an amazing story. And to break through her fears, she decided to work on them one fear at a time for an entire year. I mean, that's quite a commitment.
Yes.
And so her book is entitled The Year of Fears. And she just became unstoppable after that.
Yes.
She's literally, and that was her thing as well, just learning how to do a collaborative book. And she became unstoppable after that. She's literally going from one collaboration book to the other, to the other, to the other. She is a powerhouse of a woman.
Yes. Well, and I may, if I may really, but I have a very heartfelt story and experience with her book, that I was supposed to be doing work, and I'm like, my brain was all squirrely, you know how it gets, and you're like, I can't focus. And I decide to entertain myself by reading her book. And I'm like, let's just go read Linda's book and see what it's all about. So I literally was reading on my laptop. I was sitting at the park, and I couldn't stop reading that book. And it's about 100 pages in her ebook. And I got to like page 80, and I could not contain myself. And I emailed her, and I'm like, okay, I was going to finish the book and then write you an email, but I'm on page 80. And what I told her was, because of her book, and there was a particular quote in there, quoting her, that gave me what my second solo book is. And so I am dedicating my second solo book. It's entitled 100 Hard Questions and What I Learned Asking Them. So can you see the relationship between her year of fears and my book? My biggest fear was asking questions, and a multitude of different questions. And in fact, I just asked her if she would do me the honor of writing the foreword for the book, because I'm going to it was totally in the park reading her book. And I go, oh my goodness, so I'm on question 85 right now. And so that book will become, I got to figure out how to publish it. I don't know what I'm doing. So
I think that is going to be an amazing read, and I would love to read it. And you know why? I grew up in the era, I don't know if you had this and that, if that was your motivation for writing this book, but I grew up in a time where I was not, children in general, me included, were not allowed to ask questions. Children were, we were constantly told children must be seen, not heard. And
yes.
that was part of my invisible story, is that I didn't grow up with the tools to express myself, because I was not allowed to express myself, and you were labeled belligerent, or you were labeled defiant or not respectful if you voiced an opinion. You were not allowed to have an opinion growing up. And so that even carried into the time when I got married, because I didn't have the tools. I kind of found myself going from being in this position in the family where, you're not allowed to speak your voice, getting married and feeling that, I have to now, I'm not allowed to voice my opinion because I'm a woman.
That's exactly right.
So all those sort of learnings were carried into my marriage. Mm-hmm. And, for me to learn how to be myself and have a voice was huge, absolutely huge, and it's not about being part of a movement where, I'm a feminist and wanting to be free from my husband. That had nothing to do with it. It was simply being able to string a sentence together and not feeling shame, or not feeling that you were not worthy of saying how you feel.
Yes.
It was just that sort of growing up feeling disempowered because you didn't have the tools to speak in a manner where people would respect what you're saying.
Yes.
Or take it seriously.
Yes. Well, and I will, you know what? You know the exact spirit of this book. You just like wrote the summary on the back of the book that is it. So not only were we invisible, but we were silenced. And I love that is the connection between my very first published story about my invisibility journey, and now I'm talking about my silenced journey. And so we can talk about it gender-wise, we can talk about it culturally wise or religious wise, age-wise, and then, what does it do to the human that does have a voice, but is not allowed to use it or is ignored, because that's another way that we're silenced. We're ignored when we do use our voice, or we're discounted or shamed.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think of how many times I heard the phrase, "Who do you think you are?" When you express your opinion.
Yes.
And what does that do to your psyche?
Yes.
It's sort of subconsciously conditioning you that you are not worthy of having an opinion.
So
and eventually you keep quiet. Eventually it does silence you. Because,
yes,
if you hear that same sort of stuck record over and over, year and year after year, you eventually do just keep quiet.
yes. And so that is a perfect example of a subconscious program that's running in the background. I set a goal to write a book, but I got this program that says, who do you think you are? So do you see that tug of war? That 95% of the thoughts and beliefs that we function on are stored and function out of the subconscious. Only 5% of our thoughts are on the conscious level. So we set our goals on a conscious level, and then we got all of this static and chaos back here in the background. And so it's that little voice always chattering, like, who do you think you are? Like, why do you think you know so much? Maybe you should sit down and be quiet. Like, who cares about your story? And you're like, oh, but I want to be a writer. Who cares? And so we talk, and that is what my coaching practice is based on. I know that you have goals, and I know that you have voices. So let's go ahead and just take care of this. And we do it in such a loving, gentle way to dissolve those programs. And the word that my clients use after a reprogramming session, the most common word is, I'll say, how do you feel? Lighter. I just feel, I don't know how to describe it, Delores. I just feel lighter. I'm like, yeah, because you just let go of a whole bunch of burden that you've been carrying around. Yeah, it's a perfect example.
I think it's amazing to arrive at the point where you realize you do matter.
Yes.
Your voice does matter. And it's not about arriving at a point where you think you know it all. We will never know it all. I never want to stop learning. Learning is a continuous process. You have a capacity for learning until the day you die. Mm-hmm. I dislike calling myself an expert at anything, because what is an expert? Do you ever reach that status? Learning is a continuous action. Mm-hmm. I never want to not have a hunger to learn things. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
But at the same time, I also know that my voice matters. I also know that even though I never wish to call myself an expert in something, I do know that I know a thing or two about certain things, and that my knowledge about certain things is worth something. You need to value yourself enough to know that you do have self-worth, and that you've accumulated knowledge on certain subjects that other people may be willing to pay you for, and that's okay. That's perfectly okay.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And the thing is that when we're in the human collective, we are so empowered when we have a synergy of working together. And so, if I die, when I die, not if I die, when I die, if I don't share any of my experiences, then okay, then that's fine. There's no harm, no foul there. But what if I do share my experiences and just offer them as a goodwill offering to whomever partakes of them? And if that benefits them, then all the better. All the better. And just being, I like to think of it as being a good human and helping each other.
So can you tell us a little bit about your empowered mindset method that you use with your clients?
Yes, I love it. It's been a building process, and I actually am adding a little bit more to it. But when I work with clients, it's like a guided meditation, and they stay I'm not hypnotizing them, although I think there is, because we're slowing the brain waves down to theta so that it is very programmable, and we balance the right and left hemispheres, and we really just we follow principles of energy psychology. So if our listeners know anything about, say, Bruce Lipton, Dr. Bruce Lipton, or Dr. Joe Dispenza, those are real big names in energy psychology, and really actually being able to reprogram the subconscious mind so that the programs and the belief systems, the paradigms that are functioning, under the surface, 95% of our thoughts are under the surface. Let's go ahead and have them be beneficial and not pulling us backward or pulling us off track. But it's like having your own coaching staff, your own cheerleader, your favorite fan. And you're not fighting against yourself, and you're not hating on yourself, and you're not making excuses why you can't do things. One of my hashtags is bring your excuses. I love people's excuses. They do not scare me at all. They give us a lot of information about the programs and how we can start reprogramming them. And we don't have to do goal setting and goal achievement and success by force. We can be highly successful in a very pleasant and enjoyable way because we're on the same team. We're not fighting against ourselves. So the empowered mindset method is really some good energy psychology, some good neuroscience, neuroplasticity. And it's so painless, and it's so immediately effective. That's why I fell in love with it, is that you don't have to wait. You immediately are a different person. Yeah.
That is just amazing. That is just amazing. And do you work from home? Where in the States are you? Are you guys under lockdown still?
No, I'm in Phoenix, Arizona, and no, we're fairly open, and you can wear a mask or not, and there's no restrictions. I don't travel much, so I don't know what the details are, but no, we're open. Yeah. And so I just do my work. Like if you and I were on a coaching session, this is exactly what we would be doing. We do it on Zoom, or I can do it on the telephone. I don't have to look. I don't have to see the person. We can just do it however.
One of the things that has been amazing and wonderful about the pandemic is that it's opened up our eyes to being able to work differently. And I think for women, it has been so empowering. For women and people who live with disabilities, it has been so empowering to know that you can work from home, because we have been denied opportunities because we have children at home for younger women, or people who have disabilities where they don't feel comfortable working with people in a cubicle. Those people have now been given opportunities to work from home in a space where they're comfortable. Mothers can work around their children. Dads can work around their children. Isn't it amazing?
Yes.
Something we never would have thought of. And families have grown closer over these last year and a half, because we actually get to spend time with them. And, being able to work flexible hours when children are napping or playing, parents can focus on their work. It's been wonderful. It's been absolutely wonderful from that perspective. And I'm not discounting the fact that a lot of people have lost their jobs. I'm not discounting that a lot of us have felt a lot of stress due to the pandemic. A lot of people have suffered with mental health during the pandemic. I'm just saying it hasn't all been bad. Some of it's been good, but it doesn't discount the fact that some are really, really, really struggling. And if you are struggling, reach out. Don't be quiet about it. There's no shame in asking for help. It's okay to say that I'm struggling and I could do with some help. It's perfectly okay to do that.
And in fact, that was one of my hard questions. And probably I've asked that kind of a hard question multiple times, is that I will get stuck not knowing something, or just stuck spiritually, emotionally. And that was a hard question, to reach out and ask one of my mentors or one of my coaches, one of my friends, hey, I really need a lifeline here. I'm struggling with something. And yes, absolutely. And maybe another benefit of this pandemic is being able to be connected in such a bigger network that, growing up in a small town, you don't want to go sharing your business, but living in a global society, that's really easy to get an outside perspective. Yes.
Absolutely. And the other freeing thing I wanted to just briefly touch on is the fact that growing up, we didn't grow up seeing counselors or coaches.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
But being at the point in life where we are now, and we realize that it is amazing to be able to reach out to a coach, a life coach, or a psychologist and a psychiatrist. And it's perfectly okay. There's no shame in seeking help. Just as if, you seek help when you have a broken bone or a limb, it's okay to go to a doctor for that. There's nothing wrong if you need some help with mind work, to seek out the help of a professional in that field. I just want to give a shout out to Mary Dundon, who's just joined us in the chat here. Mary, shout out to you. Thank you for joining us. I am always keeping an eye on the comments for people who are new. So Mary, it'd be great if you can follow us so that you can get a notification next time. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate you.
Yeah, so good. Yeah. And, I read because I am a certified life coach, and I've just added this subconscious reprogramming onto the end of that. It was a good building process. And I was reading some negative criticism about why are everybody's a life coach. And I was like, okay, so what's wrong with that? If everybody is reaching out for everybody's help, then why would we not want to do that? And it doesn't mean that I'm going to be able to work with everybody or whatever, but spreading the love around and the help and the support, I agree with you 100%.
Delores, I wanted to tell you what my standard answer to people when they say something like that is, if someone wanted to become a hairdresser, would they be put off by the fact that someone said to them, oh, there's a hairdresser on every corner, you'll never get enough work? It just does not work that way. There are thousands upon thousands of people who do hairdressing and cut people's hair, but you will be faithful to the person that knows how to cut your hair the right way, and that makes you feel good. So there could be thousands of others, and it's the same in every profession. Even when, in the space of live streaming, people say, there's so many people that are live streaming. It really doesn't matter, because people who like my particular style will gravitate towards my productions. And likewise in what you do, there are people that are going to resonate with you, and they'll be drawn by the way that you work with them. There's space for everyone. The world is big enough. There's room for every one of us.
Yes. And so we'll just give a shout out to the new entrepreneurs that are barely starting this, and they might be getting that negative vibe from people. Just close that out and just go, yes, but this is my voice, and this is my passion and my gift. And this is what I'm offering, and believing, trusting the benevolent universe to provide for us. And that's all I do. And you know what? There are plenty of thoughts and brains to work with for me.
Absolutely. The world. And, I also love the fact that with the pandemic, and I've with us being able to work online has also opened up opportunities, because instead of us now only being limited to our immediate environment, we literally now can do business without walls. You can do consultations with people the way that I live stream anywhere people have got access to the internet. So you're no longer limited to clients that's in your immediate vicinity. You can have clients anywhere in the world. Isn't that amazing?
It is so amazing. Like when I first my first international client was in Canada, and it was a lovely session. It just went so splendidly. But when I hung up, I kind of did a happy dance. I was like, that was my first international client. How amazing is that? I mean, literally, I probably won't meet a very large percentage of my clients or my contacts in person. And I'm kind of okay with that. I'm like, hey, at least we can have this conversation and this exchange. It's a step up from being a pen pal. I had a pen pal in Spain when I was in junior high, and that was okay. Yeah.
It's just amazing. Delores, thank you so much. This was amazing. I cannot wait for Linda's book to see the day of light.
Yes. It's coming soon.
It is coming soon. And just a huge, big shout out to Linda for what she's done. She has given opportunities to both men and women. So it's not even just a woman thing. Her book Momentum had both male and female authors in them. But at the same time, she has made a point of empowering other women.
Yes.
Which has been amazing, And I think it's nice to just have the mindset that there's room for all of us.
Yes. And, I would also just put the invitation, kind of a little bug in everybody's ear, especially to your widespread audience, is that Linda has, if I'm not mistaken, she has 4 collaborative books in the making. And so she will be needing contributing authors. So if there is anyone who wants to write their story, but doesn't want to write the whole book and wants an amazing publisher to work with, hands down, she's the girl to choose.
And it's not hard to get hold of Linda. Her name is spelled Lynda, Linda Sunshine West.
Yes.
So if you're looking for an opportunity to get published, she's got opportunities to get published. Mm-hmm. If you're struggling to become an author of an entire book by yourself, the way to do it is to co-author a book. Reach out to Linda Sunshine West. She's amazing to work with. As Delores said earlier, it couldn't be easier because Linda does everything. All you need to do is turn in your chapter, turn in your assignment, and Linda does the rest. She does everything else. She's figured it all out. She's very, very, very well connected. I think she refers to herself as the queen of collaboration, which she absolutely is. If you're seeking to connect with people, connect with Linda. Yeah. She loves connecting people with people. So kudos to her. I want to just give a huge big shout out to our audience on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Amazon. It's been amazing. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been wonderful. Delores, it was great talking to you. Lovely meeting you. Yes. And I hope we get the opportunity to do this again. Hopefully once the book is published, I'm sure we will share the same screen again at some point. Yes. But thank you very much. This was great. And if you can just wait in the green room, it'd be great to chat to you just after we say goodbye to everyone here.
Okay. Thank you so much. My honor. Thank you.
Pleasure. Thanks, everyone. You were watching Books with Bridgetti. And until next time, stay safe, take care, be well.